Hi everyone. Today is New Year's Eve, so Happy New Year to everyone. I thought I would wrap up 2021 with another kind of top 10 list that is kind of the ritual that you do at the end of every year. Um, Combine that with a kind of um, a couple of thoughts on what it's like to have a YouTube movie channel. I started this in the first week in January of 2021. It was kind of a whim, and I didn't know whether am I going to actually be able to do this. Um, and you got to get over that initial shock of seeing yourself on camera, especially if you play one of your videos on a 65-inch TV, where that's scary. Um, and also, being a septuagenarian, I'm probably the oldest person on doing a YouTube movie channel. There might be some, I haven't come across any that appear to be older than me. But also being retired, I have time to do things like this, and it gives you kind of a sense of purpose. But I've been amazed at how prolific I've been. I've averaged more than 3 videos a week. My individual videos were videos of individual movies, about 130, 135, something like that. Um, and and I picked up subscribers, 382 in the first year, and I thank everybody who has subscribed to my channel. I really, really do appreciate it. It just amazes me um, that I've been able to get that many subscriptions. And one of the things that when you get a YouTube channel, you kind of worry, like, what's you start worrying about the views. Is anybody actually going to look at these videos? And you really can't get too obsessed about the views, and especially in a channel like mine, where obviously I'm not giving a jazzy kind of a presentation. I'm sort of like, a friend. The way I look at it is I'm kind of a friend coming over your house, sitting on the couch, telling you about the movie I watched last night. I kind of like that kind of conversational kind of tone to it all. But I'm talking about very obscure, not very obscure, but overlooked movies, underrated movies, forgotten movies. That's the other thing that really keeps me going, and this idea of bringing attention to movies that have been largely forgotten. Of course, they're not forgotten because we're getting physical releases of them, but they're not movies that very many people talk about. They talk about all the big commercial recent releases or the great classics of the canon. You don't need me to talk to you about those movies. There's plenty of people that can do it much better than me. But a lot of these movies that I talk about, there's hardly anybody else who talks about them. Now, the Criterions, of course, Dice Gave That Pooh in 20th and 21st Century, James over there, they do a real good job of covering Criterions. But a lot of the Kino movies and some of the other boutique labels, the movies don't get too many videos on them. And as I said, you can't worry about views, but you can't help but worry about it. I mean, it's not worry about it, but it's an interesting subject. And so, like a lot of my videos, I only get like 10 views the first week, but because I suppose because they're individual movie videos set on an individual movie. When I look back at most viewed the last 28 days, stuff like that, it's 6 months ago, 7 months ago, and a movie that got hardly any views the first couple of weeks, 6 months later, actually has a lot. Now, a lot to me is just a piffle compared to the successful movie channels that they might get 1,000 in the first day. I'm grateful if I get somewhere between 50 and 100, though I have recently gotten more than 100 views in quite a few, and I have a few that have gone over into the thousands. But for the most part, doing individual movies is not the most popular way to go. Sale halls, recommendations, this is what I bought, those, and I've done those, and they're all, especially in the Criterion sales. If you do a Criterion sale haul, you're almost guaranteed to get 500 views. And I got big bumps in the Criterion July sale and the November sale. November sale, I doubled my views per day during the month of November, the last Barnes and Noble sale. And then, of course, you get bumps up when one of your videos gets into an algorithm. I don't know what it is. I cannot predict what movies that I talk about are going to be popular as far as attracting attention and views. And of course, the other thing is, only about maybe 5-10% at the most of the people who watch your videos actually watch the whole thing. So movies that get a lot of views, you might get 1 to 2 minute average viewing time, and movies that don't get many views, you're getting the hardcore fans, and they might go 4 or 5 minutes average time. This video is going to be my top 10 viewed videos that I published in the year 2021, my first year in doing this. And so it's sort of the people's choice. And again, I have no idea on some of these of why these movies got views and other movies didn't. But it's interesting just to see what people are interested in. So I'm going to do a countdown of 10 to 1. And number 10 was The Damned. This is a Criterion. There's 4 Criterions in the top 10. And Criterions, by and large, will get you more views than any other label. This is a Lucchino Visconti movie. It's a really strange movie. It's got a fantastic cover that I'm sure draws people. It's a horror film. A horror film that's not that much of an exaggeration of what of the illustration of fascism, Nazism in Germany right before the World War II. This number 9, that had 665. This one had 700 views, and this one really shocked me because I got no views at all of this for like the first month. I think I published this sometime in May. And this is Night of the Following Day, and a favorite movie of mine. Certainly a deeply flawed movie. It's got Marlon Brando in it and Richard Boone. It's a kidnapping movie. I loved it when it came out, and when I did I was a movie critic, a movie reviewer for my college newspaper in '69 and '70. And I still have in my archives. I still have the top 10 lists I did for those years, and Night of the Following Day was in my top 10, and I was really grateful that that I've gotten as many views as I've gotten for it, because it's a movie that I think more people would probably enjoy. And number 8 was the only streaming. I streamed a movie called The Hot Rock with George Segal and Robert Redford, and when it was on the Criterion channel, and it is available on Blu-ray. I haven't been doing any movies in probably the last 6 months of movies that I've streamed. I've been doing nothing but physical releases in the second half of the year. But The Hot Rock starred George Segal. And I noticed, and there'll be another George Segal title coming up. And so I think the fact that he passed away earlier in 2021 probably has the factor that people search for George Segal, and one of my videos might come up. And number 7 at 973 views was The Uninvited. And this one kind of surprises me because it's not the most famous movie, but it is a great ghost story with Ray Milland and Gail Russell giving really terrific performances in it, and it's a very moody movie. And I was glad to see a Gail Russell movie because I've watched a few Gail Russell movies this year, and I've tried to bring some attention to her. And then at 6. The first one that actually went over 1,000 views, and this was Harakiri, and it was part of the Masaki Kobayashi series that I did. And when I do series movies, sometimes I wonder, no one's gonna. They're my least viewed videos, but this one took off, and this one took off in November. And it was really one of the movies that sort of propelled my. It probably went from about 100 to 1,000 in a couple of weeks after being on, a movie that I published months and months ago. So it's a great, Toshiro Mifune and Mitsuya Nakadai is in it, and I was glad to see at least one of the Kobayashi movies that I discussed getting some attention. Here's another movie that I'd never heard of before, and this is I Start Counting, and this is starring Jenny Agutter, and a movie which her performance in this movie is one of the best performances I've seen this year. And it's a Fun City, a new boutique label. I think they put out 8 or 9 movies now so far. This was the first Fun City movie that I purchased. And again, a movie I don't think was ever even released in the U.S. So, I guess it played on cable. And I guess it might have been on VHS, but it was the first time for me to see it, and it's a terrific movie. Highly recommend it. And this really is the kind of movie that I was, if all these videos I did all year, if I could just bring some attention to a movie like I Start Counting, and it got, at least by the standards of the paltry standards of my channel, it also got 1.1 thousand views so far, and it still gets a few views every day. And then this was the first movie that I put out, that first video about the Quiller Memorandum, and this was the first of my movies to really take off viewership-wise, and I released this, I think, a week or 10 days right before George Segal died, and I had like 5 views, and then suddenly I had 500 views. And so far, this is now at about 1.4 thousand views. And and again, this is a lifetime favorite film of mine. So again, the satisfaction you get that, and I got a lot of comments on this one. I don't get very many comments on my channel, but I got quite a few from all around the world on this one. So very satisfying video that I did. I'm glad it got a pretty good viewership. And then this is a real surprise. This is the third one. This is The Chalk Garden, and that went up to 1.9 thousand views. And it's not an obscure film. It was a very popular movie in its time. Deborah Carr and Haley Mills, and I really enjoyed it. I hadn't seen it probably since the 60s, and I can't predict. This was one I would have never predicted that would have gotten relative to my channel a lot of views, and I was glad it did, because it's a really good, very well acted movie, and John Mills, Haley's father, is also in this movie. So now we come to the top 2, and the top 2 have a common theme, or a common actor, and the first of the 2 is Diabolically Yours, which is almost 3,000 views right now, for a movie that was totally dismissed by the critics. It stars Alan Delon, and Alan Delon is evidently, in the physical media world, Alan Delon is enormously popular today. That sent a burger with him. I really enjoyed this movie. I'm glad it's getting the kind of attention, at least from my channel standpoint, because this is another one of these movies that I'm really glad that I'm at least contributing a very small part to keeping these kind of movies alive. So number 1, Alan Delon again, La Piscine. This one took off like crazy, and it's I guess 4.6 thousand, I think, right now. Relative to a station that, I'm satisfied if I get 100 views. When I get 4.5, I'm like, wow. And of course, this is a Criterion release, and again, Criterion releases, as far as boutique labels seem to, it has certainly got a lot of cachet in the physical media release world, and I really love this movie. I saw it. I'd totally forgotten it, but I had seen it. I think I saw the English language version of La Piscine, which is included on this, because they filmed an English language version alongside the French version, and because all these actors, well, there's actually only 4 main actors, Alan Delon and Romy Schneider and Michelle Ronan and Jane Birkin, Jane Birkin was English, but the three French actors, and, two French actors and a German actress, I think she was German, they spoke perfect English. So the English language version is worth watching. It's a little bit different, a little bit differently edited. But again, Alan Delon is that sometimes I think maybe I should just do a whole month of all the Alan Delon movies that are available and see if that kind of trend continues. Okay, so again, this is my wrap up to 2021. I had again as the theme of what's it like to have a YouTube movie channel. I could probably talk for another 20 minutes on that topic. Maybe someday I will, because it really is. I don't say it changes your life, but it certainly adds a dimension to it, and when you're able to communicate with other people in the YouTube movie community, that's fantastic as well. Okay, again, Happy New Year to everybody. This is my final video for 2021. I've really enjoyed it. Thanks for all the subscribers that I've been able to get, and comments are real welcome, always welcome. So you guys take care.